All right, Bay, we've made it to day 5 of Advent of Code, and they've given the elves some cranes. So we got this giant cargo crane, and we got a text file that kind of looks like this. These represent crates, and we're given some moves, and we're going to move, say, like from column 2 to column 1. So this letter crate with the letter D is going to go over to here, and we've got a whole list of moves. And here they're kind of walking through the process of how that works. And the question they want to know is, after the rearrangement procedure completes, what crate ends up on top of each stack? So the final answer for this little example here is CMZ, or again for my military folks, Charlie Mike Zulu. All right, let's hop into the code. As always, we're getting this read file sync function from FS. I'm going to open the file and read its contents, so I'm just going to store that in this variable file. And I'm getting it from day 5 stacks.txt. Something about this one is I broke up the stacks and the moves into different files just to make it a little bit easier for me. And so back into our code here, the first thing we're going to do is split the data into rows. So we want to split that by the new line character, and we'll create an empty object for the columns. So I'm using columns here and just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Not starting at 0 just because the problem statement I think is that starts at 1, so just makes it easier for me to think about it like that. And now we're going to build that columns object. So for row of rows, we're going to do a for loop starting at index of 1 up until 9, so less than 10. And we're going to get a string index, and we're going to make a function called get string index for column I. And what this function is doing is we want to map our column values 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 to string positions 1, 5, 9, 13, 17, 21, 25, 29, and 33. The reason we're doing this is 1, 5, 9, and 13, and 17. So if I go back to stack.text, so this is position 1, this is position 5, this is position 9, and so on. And so we're just basically taking the string position within kind of the row here and mapping it to what would be the column number. So 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way up to 9. Hope that makes sense. But that's what we're doing here. So we'll define that function. We say it takes a column that's a number and returns a number. And we return column times 4 minus 3. It's just simple math. And then we are going to check if the row of string index is not equal to an empty string, because if it's an empty string, we know there's no crate there, right? Then we're going to add to the front of columns of I that same string. So we're essentially just appending the name of the crate to that row, or sorry, to that column. Let me see if I go ahead and console.log, what's it called? Columns? Show you what that looks like. And save. Let's go ahead and open this. So we get this funky looking thing here, but yeah, one so has this array here of Whiskey, Delta, Golf, Bravo, Hotel, Romeo, Victor. Boy, this Advent of Code is good for practicing phonetic alphabet. And 2 is Juliet, November, Golf, Charlie, Romeo. So we can see like Juliet, November, Golf, Charlie, Romeo. Okay, you get the idea. Let's move on. Close that little terminal down there. Now we need to read in the moves. So that's this one here. We want to get these numbers. Oops. So we're going to get rid of that console log. And now moves is read file. We're going to read file of moves.txt. And we're going to split it on the new line. I'm just combining that all into one line there. And for move of moves, what we want to do is convert that whole string to just an array that has the amount we're moving and the from column and the to column. So just some string manipulation. We're going to use isNaN to check that we're actually getting a number. And there's an interesting article here on Stack Overflow about how the parameters that isNaN takes. Anyways, so we've got move array equals move.split. So we're splitting on the spaces. But that'll give us an array that has move, from, and to in there. So now we're going to filter the element if it is a number. And the way we can tell it's a number is we'll cast that element to a number. And if that is not a number, then we'll chuck it into the move array. So it's going to pass our filter. And then we're going to map that to type number. So that's going to change from string to number. Now we'll go ahead and get the move values. Num moves is move array of 0. Again, so we have this move array is just going to look like this. And num moves is that, and the from column will be 2 in this case, and the to column would be 7 in this case. We're just getting those values. Now we're just going to perform the moves. So for part 1, we're going to make a for loop. We're going to go through the number of moves within this move. And we're going to get the column of the from column, and we're going to pop that from the array. And that item we're going to push then onto the to column. Remember, we can only move one item at a time, so that's why we have this for loop here. And next thing we have to do is we actually have to get the top crate from each column and store it in a result string. This is so that we can provide our answer to the Advent of Code system. So we'll just start with an empty string for each column in columns. We'll define a variable called stack, and we'll just get the last item on that stack, call it the top crate, and then we'll append the value of top crate and console log the result. So if I save, open up the console, and run, we get this string here. Come back, and that's the same string, puzzle answer. Part 2 switches it up because now we can move multiple cranes at once. So the move instructions that we have define, rather than popping each one, we would pop this whole thing. Can't really select it, but D, N, and if we're moving 3 to 1, we would move D, N, and Z over to 1. So Z would now be on the bottom, whereas before Z would be on the top. All right, you get it. Don't need to explain it any further. And the question is, after rearrangement procedure completes, what crates end up on the top of each stack? So same question, really. So we can actually reuse a lot of the code here. What I'm going to do is just comment out this the moves that we're actually performing our part 1, and I'm going to perform the moves for part 2. So the moves are just a little different. We define this variable called stack, and that's the we're getting this from column, so we know the number that we're taking from, and we're getting the columns of that index. And then the removed crates, we're just going to splice off that stack, all of those crates. So, and the splice takes a start and an end, and so we're going to start at stack.length minus number of moves, and we're going to go to number of moves, which is really the end, same thing. And then we're going to push all of these, we're going to spread the removed crates, and we're going to push all those onto the to column. And that is all we need to do. I don't need this, I don't need to console log that stack there. So let me just remove that and save. We're still just console logging the result, but this time the result is with procedure 2. So GNFBSB. If I go back to the website, GNFBSB is the rest. So we've got 2 more stars, and we're headed on to day 6. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe if this helps. Hope you're enjoying the Advent of Code as much as I am.
Yeah.